People,
Hello, sir. Good morning. Good evening, sir.
hey, Jishan,
Good evening,
Hello,
sir.
good evening. Don't you
Sir,
start?
why don't you color? Your hair?
Dye your hair, huh? Color
Dye
your hair. Don't you start? It's you, I think. Sorry. Vikas.
It's me, Vikas, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. Okay. It's unnecessary hassle, Ravi. It's an unnecessary hassle. Dye your hair, and every 10 days, the whiteness will start to peep out, and then you have to cover it again. Otherwise, it looks ugly. So yeah, just white. I just want to get rid of this brownish, tinge that I have. Okay, guys, let's see. What are we studying?
We are watching video, sir. What video yesterday?
We were watching the video, right? We were watching the video. So we'll watch the video and finish it today. Just give me a second. The video was already in the group, wasn't it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you asked me to
It
share
was
the
in the
video,
group.
but you asked me to share the video again then.
I didn't see the video, sir.
I see. I didn't see it in the group. Your answer should have been, I didn't see it in
I
the
didn't
group.
see
It in the group, yeah.
In April 1900,
Okay.
there were hundreds.
Let's just go from the beginning.
In April 1912, newspapers around the world were full of the tragic story of one of the most famous ships in history, the Titanic. At the time, the Titanic was the largest passenger ship in the world. She was nearly 270 meters long and over 53 meters high, with 9 decks. She was owned by the White Star Line. The Titanic left the port of Southampton on the south coast of England on the 10th of April 1912. She stopped briefly at Cherbourg in France and Queenstown, now called Cove, in Ireland, and then started her journey across the Atlantic towards her final destination, New York. She was carrying 1,343 passengers and 885 crew members. The trip to New York was her maiden voyage. Some passengers in first class were rich and famous, but most second and third class passengers weren't rich. They were people from across Europe traveling to America to start new lives. The story of the Titanic is so famous that everyone knows how the voyage ended. Just before midnight, on Sunday the 14th of April, as she was sailing towards the coast of North America, the ship hit an iceberg and was badly damaged. 2 hours, 40 minutes later, the ship sank. Tragically, there weren't enough lifeboats, and only 710 people survived. In 1985, The wreck of the Titanic was finally found at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, 2.5 miles down. 100 years after the Titanic sank, people are still fascinated by its story. But while there are hundreds of books, television programs, and famous films about the ship's short voyage, many people still know very little about where the ship came from and the people who built it. The birthplace of the Titanic is Belfast. Belfast is the capital city of Northern Ireland in the United Kingdom, and the city was famous for shipbuilding in the 20th century. The Harland and Wolff shipyard, where they built Titanic, still exists today. You can see the dock where they finished the ship. They don't make ships here anymore, but you can still see the yard's 2 massive cranes, Samson and Goliath, from all across the city.
What names for the cranes? What were the names, guys? Did you notice? Sabnam, if you do not speak, I'll have to remove you, please. Understand that. You did not tell me on WhatsApp that you would not speak. You would just come here and sit with your mic muted. I'm sorry, can't have you here. Okay? If you want to be here, you have to be on camera. You have to be with your mic unmuted, guys. You know, you cannot just be here without, you know, kind of revealing who you are. That's not fair. That's just not fair. The people make humble requests to me on WhatsApp, allow me to be in the class, you know, how can I join and this and that. And then when they are in the class, they act silly. I just don't believe it. Especially when there are so many people here on camera. I don't see the reason why somebody should feel this way. Sabaji, it's good to see you standing and cooking. Your backache is good now?
And sir, I'm outside today. That's why I turn off my camera.
Here is very noisy, so I unmute myself.
Yeah, I understand you're in the kitchen. So I'm just happy to see you standing because some days ago you were saying that you were finding it difficult to be sitting, you know. So good for you, you know. Guys, let's continue.
Is called the Titanic Quarter. There's a lot of new development in this area. And there's a huge new Titanic signature building at the old shipyard where you can learn more about the ship. From the outside, this amazing new building looks like the bow of the Titanic. And behind the new building, you can still see the old offices of Harland and Wolff, where they designed the ships for the White Star Line. This building is empty today, but in 1900 there were hundreds of people working here, and around 15,000 people working in the shipyards. The Titanic was the second of 3 ships that Harland and Wolff were building for the White Star Line in the early 20th century.
It was the second
The plans
of the
for
three.
the Titanic and its...
It was the second of the 3 ships. It was the second of the 3 ships. this kind of phrase, can be difficult for Hindi speakers. The second of the three ships, H and W, were making three ships for the White Star Line, and it was the second of the three.
Sister ship, the Olympic, were almost identical, both inside and out. But the Titanic was slightly bigger. The designers marked the Titanic's differences in red on the ship's plans. You can see these original plans at the Ulster Museum of Folk and Transport's Titanica exhibition in Belfast. You can also see a lot of the objects from the Olympic. The Titanic had identical items on board when she sank. At the exhibition, you can also learn much more about the people who built the ship and the people who were travelling on her when she sank. And this is just one of many Titanic exhibitions around the world. The tragedy of the Titanic was very difficult for the people of Belfast.
The tragedy was very difficult,
And for many years, no one in Belfast talked about how they built the Titanic.
For a long time, they didn't want to talk about how they built the Titanic because it sank on its maiden voyage.
But this changed over time, and today, people in the city are proud of their family histories.
They are proud of their family histories. Now, people have kind of gotten over that tragedy, and they know how, important it was, their family history, that they were the people who built this Titanic.
There's a memorial to the men of Belfast who died on the ship outside the city hall.
There is a memorial to the people who died on the ship, the people who were on the ship. Let's listen again.
There's a memorial to the men of Belfast who died on the ship.
There is a memorial to those men of Belfast who died on the ship.
Who died on the ship?
And who were these people? Men of Belfast. It means they were people from here and they died on the ship. There is a memorial to these people.
Outside the city hall. And tour guide Susie Miller has her own very special family story.
She has her own family story.
I can remember as a small child, my grandmother taking me to see
my grandmother taking me to see. Now this sentence, I can remember as a small child, my grandmother taking me to
Titanic Memorial.
To see the Titanic Memorial. So guys, if you talk about your memories from the past, you say, I remember or I can remember, which means in Hindi, mujhe yaad hai, okay? Mujhe abhi bhi yaad hai, I can still remember my father taking me to the fair on his bicycle. I remember my father taking me to the fair on his bicycle. So I remember my father taking me to the fair. I remember my mother hitting me with my own shoe. Okay. I remember my mother hitting me, beating me with my own shoe. So can you think of the, can you observe the pattern, guys? How we are forming these words, putting these words together? What is the pattern here? Can you observe that? Can you notice the pattern? I'm saying I can remember my grandfather taking me to school for my admission. I can still remember that. I can remember my grandfather taking me to school. Okay, would you like to talk about any of your childhood memories using this pattern that I just used? She also used the same pattern here, guys.
I can remember my father taking me to the offering the namaz.
Oh, very good. Other people, keep going. Listen.
I am still remember.
I can remember.
Mhm.
I can remember my father uh, having fun in the summer.
Mhm.
Sir, I am still remember my father used to take me village fair when in my childhood.
My regular students, did you notice that Arvind could not observe the pattern at all? Did you notice that? This is what happens when you spend time doing certain things. You learn. Listen, Arvind, it's your first day here, and it's a demo class for you. So I would like to tell you a few things. You see, you said something, okay? Your whole focus was on only one word, remember. Your focus was only on the word remember, okay?
Okay, sir.
But the rest of the students here, they are paying attention on the word remember and the grammar of the word remember as well. Is the grammar of remember? Yes, sir. Yesterday or the day before yesterday, I did mention that afraid can be used in different ways and you need to study the grammar of afraid. You know, sometimes words have their own grammar. So how the word remember is used? You did not get it right. Can you repeat your own sentence, Arvind?
Okay, sir. I am still remember. My father used to take me to village.
Now, listen to this woman.
Titanic.
The Titanic grandfather, which stands in the grounds of...
Special family story.
I can remember, as a small child, my grandmother taking me to see the Titanic Memorial, which stands in the grounds of Belfast City Hall. And she pointed...
Did you notice that, Arvind? She did not use the word remember the way you used it.
Yes, sir.
And did you notice how she used it? What did she say?
Sir,
I can remember.
I said, when we talk about our past memories, we can use two phrases. I remember and I can
remember.
I remember and I can remember. Okay. You can use the adverb still. I can still remember. I still remember. No problems. Okay.
I can still remember my mommy is not given to a penny.
Sorry, Sabaji. You did not learn the pattern. You did not pay attention to the pattern. You did
Why
not
is
pay
that?
attention.
I can still remember my mother is not given me a penny.
Okay, listen, Sabaji, listen.
Hall. And tour guide Susie Miller has her own very special family story.
I can remember, as a small child, my grandmother taking me to see the Titanic Memorial, which stands in the grounds of Belfast City Hall. I can remember, as a small child, my grandmother taking me to see...
And after Susie Miller, Zafri made a sentence. I made a sentence. And who else?
Sir, I was.
Rukaiya also made a sentence, and still you people did not observe the pattern, what the pattern was. This is where the funda of deep learning comes into the picture, okay? You observe so deeply, you listen to the text or the audio, listen to the audio so often that you start observing the pattern. So she's talking about her childhood memory of her.
You don't remember as a child.
That as a child is not compulsory, no? As a child cannot be part of the grammar or pattern. Do you think, Sabaji, as a child is so necessary?
What was the correct sentence?
I won't answer, Sabaji. I don't spoon feed my students. You know that. You have to figure it out on your own. I will give you opportunities. I will assist you, okay? I will assist you as a teacher, but I will not do it for you. You have to do it on your own. Notice, what is her memory? Which memory is she talking about? People, pay attention to which memory she is talking
Special
about.
family story.
I can remember, as a small child, my grandmother taking me to see the Titanic Memorial, which...
Special family story.
I can remember my grandmother taking me to the Titanic Memorial. I said, I remember my father taking me to the fair on his bicycle. Do you remember, Sabaji? This was my memory that I'm talking about. I still remember. Many years ago it was, okay? But I still remember my father taking me and my brother to the fair on his bicycle. I still remember my mother beating me with my own shoe. I remember my grandfather taking me to my first school for my admission.
Then I can say not giving me.
Now you're talking, Sabaji. Now you're talking. Amazing.
No.
Fantastic. I'm very proud. Keep going. What was your sentence, Sabaji?
I can still remember as a child, my mother is not giving me a penny.
Sabaji, you still made one blunder.
Sir, I can remember my
Inserted is,
grandfather
yes.
is taking me to fair on his shoulder.
Very good, Ravi. Your father took you to the fair, right?
No, grandfather.
Your grandfather took you to the fair on his shoulder. And you still remember it. Okay, people? Ravi's grandfather
Sir, I
took
have
him
a sentence, sir.
Patience, everybody. Ravi's grandfather took him to the fair on his shoulder, and he still remembers it.
My father also did.
You remember sitting on your father's shoulder?
Yes, sir.
Oh, lovely. Keep going, guys. Which memory do you want to talk about?
I can remember. So I can remember my grandfather telling me to buy honey from the shop. And when I asked about the money, he told me, say my name to the shopkeeper.
Lovely.
Yes, true, sir.
Lovely. I'm not doubting it. Why do you have to explain?
He always said to me, say my name to shopkeeper. He will never ask you anything.
Okay. Arvind, did you figure it out yet?
Sir, was my sentence good?
Of course.
What do we say honey in English, sir?
Tobacco. Okay. People, come on.
I can remember how you taking my mistake when I was joining my class, English class.
Okay. But you're not following the pattern. I'm not saying your sentence is wrong, but you're not following the pattern. Follow the pattern so that you can show me that I am able to learn by observing. Come on, everybody.
I can remember my parents making project of mine.
For you.
Yes, sir.
Just a second. Both the speakers are gone. They're not here. Rukaiya remembers her parents making her project for her. Okay. Which class student were you?
1 or 2. I
One
don't
or
remember.
two. One
Yeah.
or two. And your mummy and papa lived together?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. It's a personal question, but how old were you when they decided to separate?
2014 he left us.
10 years ago. So you were quite
Yeah.
grown up, 8, 9 maybe.
No, it was not 8, 9. I think it was 7 or 8.
I was, not it was, I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I can remember when my bade papa taking me to the madrasa.
You used the
madrasa.
wrong word. You used the wrong word when.
When?
You didn't have to. The pattern is very simple now. I remember somebody doing something.
I remember my bade papa taking me to the madrasa.
Yeah, for the first time.
No, sir.
Oh, every day.
When I 4 5 days not go and
When you didn't go for 4 5 days.
yeah.
I see. Okay. Okay, got it. Guys, you can remember doing something, so you did it. You can remember somebody else doing something, that person did it, but you remember. Now listen. I remember, yes.
After remember, so should we use ing form?
No, don't ask me. That's what you should observe when you are listening. Okay? That's what I want people to observe. When
And
they're
tour
listening.
guide Susie Miller has her own very special family story.
I can remember as a small child my grandmother taking me to see.
My grandmother taking me. Did she use the word taking or not? Sabaji, you were unnecessarily inserting is. She said, my grandmother taking me. I can still remember my grandmother taking me. I said, I remember my mother beating me. Sabaji, remember? And you unnecessarily use the word is there. So guys, in the previous class, I talked about that concept of I+1, you know, the theory of second language acquisition. And I would like to talk about that here in this class as well, okay? Remember, you guys consider this class different, but you have no idea why it is different. This class is different because this class, for the first time in your life, is giving you an opportunity to learn something subconsciously. So far, whatever I have taught you, okay, my 80% of the learning in this class has been subconscious. You guys have learned only 20% of all your learning consciously. Now, what is conscious learning? What is subconscious learning? Arvind said, sir, do we use ing after remember? I don't have to say this to you. You have to observe. If I say this to you, then it is a conscious piece of information. I'm telling you and you remember, okay. But when you are learning subconsciously, you follow the patterns. And there are so many things that if you decide to learn consciously, you will never be able to learn. One reason why students do 1 year long courses, 2 year long courses, and still fail to speak English is in those classes, they did conscious learning. Everything was taught explicitly. Stephen Krashen, the American linguist, clearly says that if you do conscious learning, it will not help you with your speaking or writing. He says that 80% of your learning has to be subconscious in the class. And you do not remember whether the teacher is telling you a joke in English or the teacher is talking about his lifestyle or his life stories, or he is talking about a grammar point. It is his talking that teaches you, not what he is saying. Understand what I mean? The subject matter doesn't matter. What I choose to talk about is irrelevant. Whether I talk about the grammar rules or I simply tell you jokes, okay? In a language class where the teacher is using the target language for communication, the communication matters, not the topic of the communication. Remember this. If you guys you guys have always done conscious learning, where the teacher teaches you grammar rules, explaining the things in your mother tongue. And that conscious learning cannot help you be fluent, and it will never make you a self-learner. You will never be able to observe things on your own. But when you do subconscious learning, you realize how you notice things when you are listening. Deep listening, deep learning, and that is what results in speaking. So now, Arvind, after 5-6 times you notice that he used there in the audio, that lady said, I remember my grandmother taking me. And then your mind, oh, okay, ing. But at first you did not notice that. Why? Because you have never been asked to notice things like this. You have been given conscious lessons. Learn, I'm teaching you this. I don't believe in conscious teaching. I don't believe in teaching rules to my students. I want them to observe, because when they observe, they become self-learners. They can learn much more than I can teach. Many of my students will not know when they learned what they have learned. They will simply learn to speak, but they won't know when they learned it. If they're making some sentences today, 20% of their learning will be conscious, and the rest 80% will be subconscious. They won't know. Ravi, when you're forming these sentences, you will not be able to say which day you learned. You will not be able to say that. So any real learning is subconscious learning. Remember that. Conscious learning does not really reflect in your speaking or writing, okay? It doesn't really contribute. I should not say reflect. It doesn't contribute to your speaking or writing much. Your skill level remains very much the same. So please try to learn from just observing. Sunita, you have been quiet.
Yes, sir. I'm listening that you are explaining learning.
You remember your father bringing 2 cups of ice cream every day. Lovely, lovely. Lucky remembers his father bringing him 2 cups of ice cream every day. Lovely, very good.
Can I say so?
Yeah, sure.
I can still remember when my father bought Parle G biscuits for me.
Can
It
you
is a
repeat, Jishan? No. Please. First, observe the pattern, how I am saying it. You look at the word order, okay? And then you phrase your sentence, you word your sentence on the same pattern. I said, Lucky remembers his father bringing him 2 cups of ice cream every day. Now, go on, Disha.
Yes, sir. I can still remember when my father
We did not use the word when. We did not use the word when. I'm not saying your sentence is wrong. That's a different pattern. There are different patterns. Once you start noticing the patterns, then you will realize, oh, this pattern means this. This pattern means something slightly different. You will be able to understand the subtle differences between 2 different sentences. Okay? He's saying, I remember my father bringing me 2 cups of ice cream. I said, I remember my mother hitting me with my own shoe. So my memory is my mother hit me with my own shoe. Lucky's memory is his father brought him 2 cups of ice cream, okay, every day. But he's saying, I remember my father bringing me 2 cups of ice cream every day. Okay, go on, try. I'll help you.
Yes, sir. I can still remember.
But you don't have to say that. Still word is used to highlight that I still have that memory. Otherwise, you can simply say, I can remember, I remember.
I can remember my father bringing me Parle G biscuit for me.
Bringing me Parle G biscuits. Oh, lovely. Okay, very good. Your father is still alive, Jisha?
No, sir.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What a lovely memory you have. Jishan's
Yeah.
father is no more, and but he still remembers his father bringing him Parle G in the evening when he came back from shop.
Sir, can I say I can still remember when I was 4 years old, I fall in a pond.
Totally. This is a different pattern. It's totally okay. Okay. But that was a difficult pattern which a lot of people would not be able to use correctly. So I wanted you guys to just observe that. These patterns are easier for language learners who speak Hindi, For those people, I remember when I was 10 years old, I went to Patna. No problems. This is easy, right? But I remember going to Patna when I was 10. Now see this. I remember what?
Can I give
I-
example, sir?
Yes, Aisha was waiting for you, but I don't know why you took so long. Go on.
Okay, sir. I can remember my mother gifting me a bicycle on my birthday.
Oh, lovely. Very good. Which birthday was it? 9th, 10th, 8th,
It was 30th
13th?
of the March.
No. Which birthday was it? Which birthday was it? 6th birthday, 7th birthday, 8th birthday?
It was my 8th.
It was her 8th birthday. Okay. Aisha.
In 2000. Yeah.
Aisha remembers her mother buying her a bicycle for her 8th birthday. Lovely.
In 2012.
In 2012.
Sir, I can say I can remember my father taking me in the school when I used to get late.
Lovely, Sunita. You remember your father taking you to school, not in school, beta. You remember your father taking you to school whenever you got late. Lovely. Okay, easy. It was very easy. Remember somebody doing something.
Sir, my camera will be off because I am going to ride a scooty.
Okay, Zafri. Okay, no problems. Guys, you understand? Remember somebody doing something? Now, two friends are having an argument. When will you pay me my money back? What money? I paid you back. When? Last month? Didn't I give you 5,000 rupees last month? What nonsense? What nonsense? While you were at home, I came to your house and you said to your wife, okay, take the money from him. Don't you remember? What? When did you come to my house last month? I clearly remember I came to your house. You were sitting on your sofa. Your wife was sitting next to you. I took out the money and you said to your wife, take the money from him. Are you dreaming? Are you just pranking me or what? No, nobody. I'm serious. I remember, clearly remember paying you back. I clearly remember paying you back. I clearly remember your wife taking the money from my hand. I remember your wife taking the money from my hand. Guys, you understand? Now this sentence is not difficult at all because you know the pattern, what pattern I used here. You understood the whole situation very well?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So think of similar sentences in the group, write in the group, okay? Let's move on. I remember Sunita coming to my class for the first time.
Who's sir?
Sunita. I remember Sunita coming to my class for the very first time. I remember her telling me that she got to know about me from my YouTube channel.
Thanks, sir.
Remember, Sunita? You remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I remember.
Okay. Okay, people, let's see. So Susie says that I can remember as a child, means when she was a child, her grandmother taking her to the Titanic.
As a small child, my grandmother taking me to see the Titanic Memorial, which stands in the grounds of Belfast
To see the Titanic Memorial, which stands in the
City Hall. And she pointed up at, I can remember as a small child, my grandmother taking me to see the Titanic Memorial, which stands in the grounds of Belfast City Hall. And she pointed up at the name Thomas Miller.
And she pointed at the name Thomas Miller, her grandfather's name.
As a small child, my grandmother taking me to see the Titanic Memorial, which stands in the grounds of Belfast City
In the grounds of Belfast City
Hall. And she pointed up at the name Thomas Miller.
She pointed at the name Thomas Miller
on the plinth and told me that that was my great-grandfather.
Yeah.
My great-grandfather worked here in Harland and Wolff in the shipyard which built Titanic, and he had helped to construct the engines for Titanic and its sister Olympic.
And Tommy Miller has a special place in the history of the Titanic.
He had a special place.
He's unique. He's the only one of the crew who worked on the construction of Titanic for Harland and Wolff and then worked for White Star as one of the crew.
Oh, so her grandfather is a special man because he worked for H&W as an engineer. He built the Titanic engine, and then he also worked for the White Star Line. So he worked for both the companies. There are two different companies: the Star White Line, White Star Line actually. That company owned the ship, and H&W built the ship. And her grandfather worked for both the companies.
Like many people on the ship, Tommy was leaving Ireland to start a new life in America.
He was leaving the island to start a new life in America. Like many people, majority of the people who live in America are not from America. They are all outsiders. They all went there in last 200, 300 years. Okay, people. Most of them, not most, all of them actually, all those white people, okay? Yeah, the Native Americans, the people who were originally, the people of that place, they are not seen even, people don't hear about them. They are kind of politically, socially, economically irrelevant to the country, They have a very kind of, I will say they are, isolated, okay? They do not mingle with the people. And the same is true about Australians, Aboriginal Australians, the native Australians. These white people, they will feel bad about it, but they actually, colonized the whole world. Some countries managed to free themselves, like India and, Kenya, but some countries could not really free themselves forever. They became their, they accepted that the country. Now Donald Trump and all these people, they must have had some European connection. If you go in history, his grandfather, great-grandfather, great-grandfather's father would be from some European country who decided to go and live there, either England or France or Spain or somewhere. Yeah. They are not originally from there. Okay, anyways, but they consider that country their own now. All right. I don't know if somebody says they are the invaders or they are the, they have kind of occupied the country. I don't know. It can be very controversial. I don't know. Let's sidestep that topic, okay? It's a very complicated topic.
Before my great-grandfather left Belfast, he said his goodbyes to his two sons.
Okay, before he left Belfast, he said his goodbyes to his two sons.
And he gave each of them 2 new pennies.
And he gave each of them 2 new pennies. He gave each of them 2 new pennies.
Dated 1912. And he told them not to spend those. Father left Belfast. He said his goodbyes to his 2 sons. And he gave each of them 2 new pennies, dated 1912.
Dated 1912. He gave them each 2 new pennies, dated 1912. Now learn this word, dated 1912. So he gave them 2 pennies, dated 1912, means the pennies had 1912 written on them. Okay. And to suggest this idea, which word was used? Dated 1912. He gave them 2 pennies, dated 1912.
And he told them not to spend those coins.
He told them not to spend those coins. He told them not to spend those coins. He said, Beta, don't spend these coins. He told them not to spend those coins. Imagine his grandfather talking to his sons, Beta, don't spend these coins, okay? Now she's telling us, he told them not to spend those coins. He told them not to spend those coins, okay? If you guys want to practice, you can practice. My mother, when I was a child, said, don't eat soil. Don't eat pencil. Don't eat chalk. Okay, I'll say. My mother took
It means
when I
you
was a
eat,
child.
sir.
No. Just giving an example. My cousins did actually. My
Oh,
mother told
that's
me.
why.
My mother told me not to eat chalk. My mother told me not to eat chalk. My mother told me not to eat chalk. Okay. Now, simple and easy. See, you see, when I was a child, I didn't want to put anything in my mouth other than food. I don't know why people put a chalk and soil in their mouth, you know. I didn't. I remember I found it filthy. I found it disgusting to put things in your mouth, you know. Anything. My cousin ate pencils, you know, chalk pencils. I didn't. Yeah. He told them not to spend
Until the family was all together again.
until the whole family was together again. What did he say? Hey, listen, don't spend these coins until the whole family is together again. What a good use of until. Arvind, this, like I said, Arvind, there is another class at 5:30, you know, and maybe you will benefit more from that class because this class seems easy, okay? But the way I teach, I do not teach explicit lessons that, hey, this is the grammar lesson, that is the lesson. I don't do that because YouTube is filled with such videos for free. Every chapter, any chapter you mention, you will find 1,000 videos in Hindi, in English. Then why should a teacher teach those things for money when those things are for free available? I teach something else. I don't teach just those rules. I teach people how to make observation. And once you start doing it, okay, remember, the whole world, you know, anywhere you are, listening to a comedian, you can learn English. Listening to a politician speak English, you can learn English. Once you start this observation thing going. And as long as you depend on your teacher to teach you rules, your learning will be very limited, very restricted. And it will not be enough to make you fluent or confident when you're speaking.
Yes, sir, it's true.
So let's see. Saurabh, my teacher told me not to do others' homework. All wrong, because I remember, Saurabh, don't and not are not the same thing. Don't and not are not the same thing, people. Please understand. Don't is different, not is different, okay? Don't is used in the present simple. One, everybody knows. For example, I don't smoke, I don't drink. You use don't in this situation. You cannot say I not smoke, I not drink. You cannot say that. Here you need I don't smoke, I don't drink. Sometimes you order people, you request people with the word don't. Please don't sit on this chair. It is for my sister. Okay. Please don't hit me. Okay. So, hey, don't touch that. So this is order. Okay. But not is different. I said my grandfather told them not to spend those coins. My grandfather told them not to spend. Not to spend. My grandfather told me not to spend. Now you understood. You improved your sentence. Well done. So everybody just listen and learn and just understand this is the only way one can learn. Deep listening, deep observations, and subconscious learning it is. It is subconscious learning. You just pay attention to the words, the forms, and the order. You do not think about the grammar rules, and you get the grammar rules going for you. You do not make mistakes with grammar when you learn this way. If you study grammar rules, there is no guarantee you'll be able to use them the right way. Okay, so this is the reason I told you. I teach this way because the other thing is available for free, but this is never available for free, what I'm doing. Here, you will want feedback. When you make mistakes, you won't realize, you know. I will have to highlight, hey, you didn't notice that thing there? But when you're learning the rules are limited. All the grammar rules can be taught in 3 months. I have told you already, you know, all the grammar rules can be taught in 3 months. But after that, it will be the grammar of the words. For example, you learned today how remember is used in the sentence. You learned the grammar of remember. This was the rule for remember. And unless you observe this, you are not going to be able to get it right. Some people, because they have been listening to English all their life, so they know it without the teacher helping. Some people learned this. They listened and they started, like it was Zafri who got the sentence right in the first attempt. Okay, he noticed how the sentence was formed. So I'm just saying, if you keep going with your listening, you know, for long enough, then you won't need your teacher because you'll develop a habit of listening, observing, and forming a similar sentence. And this is how I have learned too. It's impossible to learn through rules. If you are a student for general competition, where you have to do MCQs, where you are not supposed to write or you're not supposed to speak, then you can learn the traditional method. You can learn through the traditional method where you do not do any subconscious learning, you do conscious learning. Fine enough, no problems. Because in the exams, you have to choose which is right, which is wrong, which is right, which is wrong, that's all. But when you're talking, it's beyond right and wrong. You have to think of forms that you need to use, the way the words should be put together. You get tired when you speak English. After 2-3 words, you kind of feel tired, exhausted. You think you want to stop. All these things will go away when you keep listening and practice the way I'm suggesting. Okay, move on.
Sadly, Tommy was one of the crew members who died, but his family never forgot.
And he told them not to spend those coins until the family was all together.
Until the family was all together again. Until the family was all together again. What a good use of until. We have learned this use of until. You know, you put a condition. I will keep learning English until I become fluent. I will keep learning English until I become fluent. So until is used this way. That's your goal. Okay? Yeah, I won't let you go until you accept your mistake. I won't let you go until you accept your mistake. So accept your mistake and I will let you go. I won't talk to you unless or until you apologize. Unless and until are very similar. The difference is unless talks about a condition, until talks about time. For example, somebody will come. Somebody will come. He has to come. There is no doubt about it. But when? Maybe in 10 minutes, maybe in 15 minutes, maybe in 20 minutes. I will not go from here until he comes back. Now here, unless I will not use, because there is no doubt about it. He has to come back. But maybe he will say sorry, maybe he will not say sorry. Maybe he will say sorry, maybe he will not say sorry. So I will not talk to him unless he apologizes to me. If he doesn't apologize, I will not talk to him. Until it is bound to happen. It's only a matter of time. So sometimes what you do, you use until and unless both. I will not talk to him unless he apologizes to me. Okay? It means he has to apologize. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I will not talk until then. You know, when he apologizes, I'll talk. Unless, because maybe he will not apologize, then I will not talk that way. So unless talks about condition, until talks about time. Okay, listen, you have brought sweets, okay? Your friends are saying, come on, open the box, let's eat. But you say, I will not open the box unless the teacher comes or until the teacher comes. Because the teacher has to come. It's normal. Teacher has to come. Why are you doubting it? Do you think the teacher will not come? He has to come, but you're waiting. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. So I will not open the box until the teacher comes. I hope you understand. Unless it's used for condition. Condition means it may not happen. It may not happen, okay? So unless it's used when you are talking about condition, which can happen, which may happen or which may not happen, okay? But until, it's only a matter of time.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Jisha.
Can I leave the class because I am going to Ranchi right now?
Okay, Jishan, beta. Please watch the recording later, okay?
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
do practice, okay?
You're also going to, because for some reason, sir.
No problem, Sarvind. You can leave. That's totally okay. Thank you for
Thank you, sir.
coming, okay? Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Again.
Sadly, Tommy was one of the crew members who died, but his family never forgot him.
He was one of the crew members who died, but his family never forgot him.
My grandfather kept those 2 pennies all of his life.
My grandfather kept his 2 pennies all his life. It was great-grandfather or grandfather, I don't know.
And he passed them down.
Sadly, Tommy was one of the crew members who died, but his family never forgot him.
My grandfather kept those 2 pennies all of his life.
All of his life. My grandfather kept those 2 pennies all of his life. Off is, optional. All his life, the same thing. All his life, all of his life, okay? He sold eggs all of his life. He sold eggs all his life, okay? All his life, all of his life, no problems. He sold eggs.
And he passed them down through the family.
And he passed them down to the family.
Still have
Okay,
them
through
in the family today.
Pass them down through the family.
And he
Aage
passed them
badhate
down
chale.
through the family, and we still have them
And we still have those 2 coins, okay? 2
in
pennies.
the family today.
In the family today. Good.
But why is the story of the Titanic still so famous after 100 years? Susie Miller thinks that there are 2 reasons that people will always be interested in the Titanic.
You've got the biggest ship in the world with the richest people in the world and the poorest people in the world sailing across the Atlantic, and on the maiden voyage it hits this iceberg and it's a disaster. And within that bigger story there are all these little threads of stories, individual stories about families and people.
And in this bigger story, there are little threads of individual stories, Yes, if you watch the movie Titanic, you will see so many things going on inside. So this is what keeps people interested.
People, and people who were heroes and people who were cowards and people who were villains. So you've got all those elements within it. So I think those 2 things combined give you a really good story.
Okay. So the video is over. If you guys have any more questions, any particular part, feel free to ask me. We will move on to the main book now.
Sir, while listening and observing the things, we can improve, we can learn subconsciously. So, as there are another way to learn some subconsciously, is there any?
Reading and listening and paying attention to the, matter what is going on, subconsciously it happens. But the only problem, why some people doubt about the effectiveness of this is they start very late in their lives and they get a little impatient. See how children learn. Children never study the grammar rules. Those children who you find speaking fluent English at age 10 or 11 or 12, okay, in Mumbai, Bengaluru, and many other cities, those children never studied rules, guys. How did they learn? Think about it, okay? English is their second language, not their first language. They spoke Hindi when they were at home, okay? They went to school, and by the time they were 11 or 12, they started speaking very good English. And they do not know all the rules behind those sentences, why they're putting those words together, okay? So it is effective. The only reason why some people doubt the effectiveness of this is because they start late in their lives and they are impatient. They want results in 1 month, in 1 year. Sometimes it takes longer. Depends on how smart you are, how focused you are, how motivated you are, how quickly and how good you are with languages, you know. Some people are just not good with languages. I can't forget this this gentleman. He is my a family friend. I will not mention his name because who knows? Someday he might, stumble upon this video and say I said talked about him this way. He's ignorant of his own weakness, his problem. I, being a language teacher, notice these things more. I'll say. More accurately and better than many other people. This guy, that I'm talking about, is a family friend. When he speaks normally, he's okay. The moment he tries to be impressive, okay? The moment he tries to make a good impression through his language, oh my goodness. In Hindi, okay, the way we speak Hindi, Bihari language, he uses all sorts of strange words which just do not make sense. And he says them all. And in Hindi, his mother tongue, he says meaningless things in his mother tongue. And he doesn't realize that he's saying meaningless things. Okay, if that kind of person is learning a new language, no matter how hard he tries, he's never going to be good because he just doesn't have a sense for language so well as other people. But such people are exception cases, okay? I told you, he speaks Hindi in a very stupid way. He's educated. He's done his post-graduation, but he just talks that way. In Hindi, I'm not talking about English. Many times I have highlighted it to my family, my brother and other people of my family when he left that, did you notice he said this? What does it mean? But we just sit there, yeah, right. But we don't understand what he means. It's just not polite to say to him that you're talking gibberish. But he talks gibberish. Gibberish means meaningless things. He just says so many words. He puts them together, but what do they mean together? Nothing. He has this habit. He always does it when he is trying to be impressive. He's trying to be good. But when he talks normally, he communicates like, he's good. He's okay. He's normal. But the moment he speaks alone, trying to be impressive on a topic, anything, and then he'll just make a mess of himself. He makes himself look so stupid. Yeah.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please, Rukaiya.
Sir, why we shouldn't say I am pursuing?
Pursue means to go after something.
Okay,
To go after something. Pursue is a verb. It means to go after something. Noun is pursuit. In the pursuit of the truth, in the pursuit of success. Okay. Mahatma Buddha, he left his kingdom, his palace, his royal life in the pursuit of truth. Okay.
Completed my bachelor's from
Yeah, totally okay, no problem.
Can I use I did my bachelor's?
Yeah.
His experience will have to use.
Okay. So if you want to talk about it from that angle that you're sharing experience, then you go with I have. But when you want to talk about what you did at a certain time in the past, then you use the past tense. So it depends on from which angle you're coming. Are you talking about your experience? Go with the present perfect. If you are talking about a past event, go with the past simple. We had a lovely meal and then we went to the theater. 5. I was sitting at home last Thursday evening. I was sitting at home when something very strange happened. He's got 3 older sisters and I've got 3 older sisters too. Okay. He's got 3 older sisters and I've got 3 older sisters too. I have a question. In number 6, repeat everybody, repeat the sentence.
Got He's got three older sisters, and I've got three older sisters too.
Okay, everybody. You didn't read. I don't know. Maybe you did with the mic muted. I don't know. But I just want to know this word TOO2 is for which word here? Which word will get the stress? When you put the word TOO2, which word in this part will get the stress? Yeah, go on. He's got three sisters. He's got three older sisters. And you want to use the word two here after sisters. Where will the stress be in this sentence? This now.
I have got three sisters too. Two, sir.
No, Zafri, two will not. I'm not talking about two. One of these words will get the stress. Do you have an idea which one?
Three,
Yeah?
three.
Nah. Why three? Why three? I will
I
get
have
the stress.
got.
I will get the stress. I will get the stress. Let me tell you. He's got he's got three older sisters, and I've got three older sisters too. I've got three older sisters too. So he's got three older sisters, and I've got three older sisters too. So I here will get the stress because of TOO. Okay. Please understand what you're saying. Purpose समझो ना, purpose समझो, you will know. ये मेरी भी है तीन बहनें, मेरी भी, right? मेरी भी, तो क्या बोलना था? I को stress करना था ना भाई. He's got three older sisters, and I've got three older sisters too. Okay. आप चाहो तो I too have got three older sisters कर सकते हो. क्या कर सकते हो? I too have got three older sisters.
I too have got three older sisters.
But you can't hear me? Who can't hear me? Everybody can hear me. Musharraf, what's wrong? Everybody can hear me. And Musharraf, you have been so irregular, my boy. Why? You have been you were doing so great. Then what happened? You have been so irregular for past I will say 2-3 weeks. Okay, let's see. There is a program on TV tonight that I want to see. There is an interesting program on TV tonight that I want to see very much. There is an interesting program on TV tonight that I want to see very much. Number 8. I really worked hard. I worked really hard. I worked really hard last week. All last week. I worked really hard. I worked really hard all last week. Pure saptah, all last week, every single day of the week, all 7 days. Now, exercise 2, work with the partner. Look at the pictures. What do you think the story is about? Use the words below to write the story of Aunt Camila's portrait. Then read your story aloud to the class. Okay, guys, you have the pictures. You have the words here. Use these words to complete the story. Okay. Okay. Yeah, here. See? And the pictures are here. So guys, you have to write the story. Do one thing, go into the breakout room and do the practice oral. Okay. Practice speaking the story to each other, guys. I'm opening the rooms for you. Ready, guys? Ready? No.
Yes, sir, we are ready.
Okay. Should I put you in the group as well? Please message, join the meeting. Arish, you're stuck here, Arish. Why? Share to room number 3. The link is right here. Go to the group and click the link. That's all you need to do. Just go and click the link. Leave the meeting. That was the warm-up round for you guys where you thought what you should say. Now do your homework and write the story, okay, at home with the help of the pictures and the words on the left. Use them to write your story. Okay, I would like to see, Rukaya, you made a blunder when you said my aunt excited to see.
Yeah, I know, sir. It was my mistake.
Yes, so avoid such mistakes which just don't make sense. My aunt
Yeah.
excited. My aunt was excited.
Yeah, my
If
aunt
you
was
avoid
excited.
small basic mistakes, it will be very good.
Sir,
So
there is words. I can't see.
what can't you see, Sabaji?
Where is words?
What do you see here on the screen? Pictures and the words here, the text here. You have to complete the story. Huh? Right? Can you still not see, Sabaji? Please talk.
Yes, sir. I can see.
You should have told me. Communication skill, work on your communication skill, please. When you ask a question and if I am trying to solve it, then you give me, yeah, done. Yeah, got it. Instead of me having to ask you the 2 times, please. And guys, this is what you have to do. This is a task, everyone. You have to complete this text. Okay. I hope you guys will avoid making basic mistakes. That's all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And don't forget to send me the story before the class starts. Okay.
Tomorrow is Sunday, sir.
On Monday. My bad. Okay. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye, sir. Good night.
Good night.